Now, do you have trouble painting wet into wet with oil paint? This is one of the common problems that I get from my students who want a solution, how to avoid mixing up or messing up all of that paint on your painting. So in this video, I'm going to give you a few tips of how to handle this subject, how to work with wet over wet, and hopefully it's going to help you with your next painting as well. Let's have a look. Okay, so putting down a wet layer of paint onto another wet layer of paint, and then you're picking up all that paint underneath and getting an awful mess, losing confidence and not knowing what to do, and you become actually fearful of putting down that next dollop of paint. It's going to just create a mess. Well, I'm going to show you how I do it, and maybe you can apply that, practice it, and see how it is going to help you with your painting. Let's have a look. Okay, tip number one is use a limited color palette. I use the warm and cool primaries, as you can see, 2 blues, cool and warm, 2 yellows, 2 reds. There's a bit of burnt sienna for convenience there. And this is going to help you get harmonious color mixes. Now, to loosen up the paint, you can use a little bit of linseed oil, or you can use artist white spirits. For the first layer, it's generally quite thin. If you use a lot of tube colors on your palette, you're going to increase the chance of making a mess. Then paint fat over lean, this thin initial layer. It dries fairly quickly, and you can go over it again with progressively thicker layers. This reduces the amount of intermixing. It also prevents your paint potentially cracking. If you're painting thin over thick paint, you could lead to cracked paint. Tip number 3 is work within similar values, or layering one similar value over another is going to reduce any chances of contamination. Here, dark green over the dark blue, not a problem. Bit of dark burnt sienna, not a problem either. Tip 4 is keep your brush clean, especially when moving from dark to light or within different complementary colors. So here I'm putting on some orange color on a cleaned brush. Right, it's been wiped clean, and you can see similar value color going on nicely there. Now, light value next to this dark, and I've picked up some dark color, wipe that off. I'm wiping my brush off very regularly during my painting, maybe every third stroke. And this way you keep a lot of color discipline throughout your painting process. You can swap brushes around, have a few brushes for light colors, a few brushes for dark colors. That also is possible. I'm not quite as organized as that, so I rely on wiping off the brush on a regular basis. If it gets really dirty and irredeemable, I will clean it off with some spirits or whatever cleaning medium you use. Over here, I've got a little bit of texture there as well, so that's not a bad thing. I put another layer. I've still got the texture that I want. Clean off any dark paint and just build up the layers. You can see putting down one stroke, next stroke, and that's how you build it up. You don't build up layers by blending everything away. So let's just move on to a later stage of this painting, and the final tip is your attitude. Applying thick layers with confidence is something you've got to try to cultivate and work on. Putting a stroke down, leaving it alone, another stroke next to it, you could slightly overlap it, but I'm not blending it all away. You can see stroke down, pick up paint, another stroke. I'm picking up quite a lot of paint now. Now we're working much thicker. And a lot of these strokes are the final strokes in that area as I start to develop the painting and take it towards a conclusion. No problem here. Similar values, you can layer that paint on nice and thick. It's not really a problem. Into the darks, you could intermix there a bit. Decide if it's wrong or not. One stroke, another stroke. So fairly confident strokes. If you don't like what you've put down, you can of course scrape it off. You can go over it. But try to consider what you're going to do next and then put down that stroke. I'm trying to get more vibrant color down onto these trees, emphasizing that a bit with some dark shadow colors as well. And in this way, the painting builds up in a sort of almost a spontaneous way, but there is an intention behind it. Don't panic. That's another problem. Try to work with confidence. Think about the problem you're facing and work it out and then take action. So here we're getting a nice build-up of textures, colors. I'm putting on an impasto stroke to get some thicker light on the edge of the tree. Another one there. And the general complexity and interest of the painting continues to develop as you work through it step by step, just by adding color, brush strokes. So we'll just run through some of the sort of final stages. The painting's not going to be quite complete, but it's heading in that direction. Warming up the foreground shadow just a little with a slightly warmer violet. Still very close in value to the shadow, of course, just the color temperature is changing slightly. Adjusting a few edges. Some cool color behind the trees to show off the tree shape a little better. And that's really it. If you follow this method and practice it a bit, painting wet over wet is going to become a pleasure and not a torment. You've got to believe that you can do it and just put it into practice. Yeah, putting some blue into the green, similar values, once again, just different color temperature, very easy. Put it on with confidence. So try out these techniques with your next painting. Alright, I hope that was helpful, gave you a few ideas. Of course, you got to keep practicing this and getting more and more accustomed. But the big thing is also attitude. It's not just the technique with your hand and brush, but it's attitude. How do you approach the painting? A bravura stroke, something that is put down with confidence. Easier said than done, of course. But keep trying, it will come right. Don't forget, I have a free course for you up here. You can see more painting techniques and tips and things you can try out, because I give you examples and references and all sorts of methods to make sure that you are putting into practice what I'm talking about, and then that's the way you'll learn. Alright, if you can give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't done so already, share the video, it will help other people as well. And until next time, cheers for now.